Hello one and all, my name is Ryan Bruce. My friends call me Fluff, and today on Riffs, Beards, and Gear, I thought we would compare two of my EVH 5153 amps. So I've been doing a lot of reamping lately. I've been mixing a record for a band, and it necessitated having two different EVH amplifiers here in the studio. Now, the casual onlooker would look at both of these amps and go, why do you have two of those? Well, obviously one is different than the other. However, tonally, they're actually pretty different from each other, especially in the clean channel, but also the dirty channels, which we will get into in just a second. So I thought we would just go ahead and compare the two amplifiers and let you decide which one you like for yourself. Now, the amplifiers we have here today is the standard OG 100 watt EVH 5153. And then below it on the bottom here, we have the EL34 Stealth 100 watt amplifier. Now, the key differences between these, I would say, is the EL34 Stealth has per channel resonance controls on the rear of the amplifier, as well as external bias points. And there's gonna be huge differences in the clean channel. The EL34 Stealth has a cleaner channel than the OG boy, and the blue and red channels are far more gained out than the OG 5153. There's also some voicing differences as well, which you will hear in just a second, but I'm going to be switching between the two. Watch the indicator on the screen to know which one you're hearing at any given time. And with that, let's just jump into it, shall we? Okay, so first, let's start on the clean channel. I'm gonna put all the controls at noon. I have volume matched these as best as I can. And yeah, we're going to start with let's start with the OG boy, the 5153 100 watt clean channel. EL34. As you can hear, the Stealth is a much cleaner clean channel. I will note, however, that I was in a specific reamping situation, and the called for guitar tones was a crunchier, kind of a 90s guitar vibe, and the clean channel for the 5153 was perfect for that tone. Just kind of a ballady kind of a song. That flavor definitely is a thing, and I like the vibe of that sound. However, if you want something a little cleaner, the Stealth Boy is your amp. Pretty interesting. Now, let's go to the blue channels of these amplifiers. I have these basically dialed in the exact same. I think I have, let's see, slightly less lows, and I basically more or less have these dialed in the exact same on all fronts. Now, again, the Stealth has a resonance control on the back. All of the resonance controls are basically at 11 o'clock on the back of this amplifier. It's basically the same as the OG boy, because I like where the kind of low end sits on the OG, so I don't have the resonance cranked up on the Stealth at all. But let's hear the blue channels, starting with the 5153. Quite a difference when dialed in the same. Now, could I get there with the OG? Yeah. However, you will also notice while the original amp is a little darker sounding, the EL34 Stealth has a much more of a pronounced quack in addition to the additional gain, which I do enjoy. Played back to back, dialed the same, the OG boy has the upper mid quank, I guess is what you would call it. The EL34 does have kind of a less, I don't know, it just sits different. These both sound really good, and they definitely have their purposes. You will also notice that the Stealth is really, really gained out. Even at noon on the blue channel. I mean, it is just, there's a lot of gain there. Pretty crazy. Let's move on to the red channels of these amplifiers. Starting with the OG, gain is at noon. These are basically both dialed in the same, with the low end at about 11 o'clock. Mid-range at 2 o'clock and top end at 2 o'clock as well. Presence, I have a little bit more presence going on the top amp, just because that's just how I had it when I was reamping. I'm gonna put these back, I'm gonna match the presence controls, and this is what we get. Pretty interesting. So the gap kind of lessens between the two amps with the red channel. Now, in my opinion, the Stealth is a much more compressed amplifier, especially in the red channel, whereas the OG is a little bit more open to my ears. And I don't know, they both have their uses, right? The mid-range sits a little differently on the OG versus the Stealth. Now, let's go back to the clean channels and see if we can get the Stealth to kind of dirty up like the OG. Turn that down a little bit, maybe turn up the... The Stealth has so much more mid-range than the OG. That's pretty nuts. Again, all of this is kind of a moot point, right? I mean, if you're getting these amplifiers for the clean channel, you're getting them for the wrong reason. However, there are usable tones on the first channel of these amplifiers, and they're all great. However, they're pretty different between the amplifiers. Let's go back to the blue channel, starting with the OG. Let's dial up the gain a little bit. We can get ballpark with the OG. I feel like the Stealth is gonna just always crush it with how the mids sit, especially with the EL34s and the amount of gain that it has. However, the OG keeps up. Now let's move on to the third channel, the red channel. Let's see if we can match these guys. I can get pretty close, and I feel like in a mix situation that either one of these would suffice if that was the tone I was going for. Pretty interesting. So who are these amplifiers for? Well, really, these are a little different use cases. Now, for me in the studio here, I am gonna gravitate towards the OG only because I kind of like where the gain sits on the blue channel, whereas for me, if I'm not going for metal tones, if I'm going for anything less than metal tones, big rock tones, punk rock tones, pop punk stuff, that kind of thing, the Stealth is pretty gained out for me and for those use cases. Now, everyone's use cases are different, obviously. For me, I wish I had the Stealth clean channel on the OG amplifier, and for me, that would make a really, really even more incredible amplifier. Both these have their use cases, which is why I have both of them here in the studio. However, they're pretty different. They are pretty different, if I do say so myself. I will also note that both of these amplifiers have 8 preamp tubes, and you know, yeah, they're just cranking it up internally with the Stealth. Pretty cool. I will link down below in the description if you would like to check out full specs on each one of these amplifiers. And shout out to EVH for sending me the OG 5150 to compare to my EL34 Stealth. And with that, you've been wonderful. I have been Fluff. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.